Hi guys, it is April from Getting Hooga With It. Today I am here to chat with you about cults, but in particular books with cults in them. So let's get into it. Cults are a tricky thing. When you're writing about cults, you have to do it really well. Otherwise, people will think, why don't they just get out of it? What's the big deal? Why can't they just get out of it? So I think it is a tricky thing to write about, but these books I think did that pretty well. Some better than others, if I'm being honest. But I wanted to share with you some of the books that I have read that included cults. So first up is The Girls by Emma Cline. Now I absolutely loved this book. I know it's very much a hit or miss kind of book. Some people love it, some people just could not get into it. But we are following a woman who, as a teenager, was part of the Manson family. It doesn't explicitly say this is about the Manson family, but you know that it is. You follow her when she's a teen, kind of an awkward teen, and she sees these girls who are just stunning, and she just knows that she wants to be a part of their little clique, and she becomes a part of it and realizes it's a bit of a cult. It's a bit of a cult. I would classify the Manson family as a cult. He brainwashed so many people, or at least they would say, I think, that they were brainwashed. But he was a very imposing leader, and yeah, I really thought the writing in here was so good. I still to this day have never read another book that has been more, I don't want to say atmospheric, but when you're reading it, you feel certain things. We're following all of these people living in a place that's not very clean, so you can tell it's dirty. The people, when they're eating, they don't clean up afterwards. So I felt dirty and sticky reading this book, and I wanted to take a shower way too many times in a day reading it. I just think that's wonderful writing. If you can do that to someone, that's good writing. You could also understand how a leader could manipulate these people into doing certain things, or at least into thinking of him as a god, because our main character definitely did. And I just thought it was really well written about cults. Next up is Pieces of Her by Karen Slaughter. This is Karen Slaughter's latest book, and I don't want to get too into it because I almost didn't even include this book on the list because I was really worried that I was going to ruin stuff for people. The premise of this book is a mother and her daughter are at a shopping mall, and a gunman comes in to the shopping mall and he starts shooting, and the mother rushes in and disarms this man. And I mean, this is a middle-aged woman, in her 50s or something like that, that you just wouldn't expect it from. The daughter is completely confused. She's like, this is not my mom. What in the world is happening? And it soon becomes apparent that she doesn't fully know her mom and her mom's past. And somewhere in her mom's past, there is a little bit of a cult thing going on. I would classify it as a cult. It's definitely manipulative. There's a leader and people follow, and when they don't follow, there are consequences. And I really did enjoy this book. I wouldn't say that it was nearly as well written as something like The Girls or a few more on this list, but it was a really fun read to me, and I really enjoyed it, so I had to share it with you guys. Next up is, oh my gosh, one of my favorite horror books ever. The Cabin at the End of the World by Paul Tremblay. Paul Tremblay is my favorite horror author. He's just so good. He's the kind of author who's able to take a story and make you question yourself while you're reading it the whole time. And then at the end, he doesn't wrap things up in a neat little bow. It's just like, now what do you think happened there? What do you think? And you're stuck sitting with that for days, sometimes months, sometimes years. And I love that. I know not everyone likes that, and some people like a good ending that's just like, this is what happened, the end. I don't. I like to have something to think about after. The Cabin at the End of the World is about a family who rent a cabin, and these people come to the cabin wielding very strange objects, like they're weapons that they created themselves, so they look really weird. And they get there and they're, trying to get into the cabin. It's a bit of a home invasion kind of story as well. And they're saying, we're not going to hurt you, we just need your help to save the world. And these people have this idea in their head that the end of the world is upon them, and they have to do certain things in order to be saved. And it is nail-biting. It's gruesome. This is the only gruesome book that I could get behind. I don't like gore. I really don't like gore. It makes me feel gross, and it doesn't scare me. But I am terrified of home invasion, and this was scary to me. So I highly recommend The Cabin at the End of the World. Oh my gosh, it was so good. And then we've got The Silence. So The Silence is a kind of apocalyptic horror book, light horror, about a family, another family, who are living in a world where they can't make noise, because when they make noise, there are these creatures that have unearthed themselves that hunt by noise. So you can't scream, you can barely, like walking, you have to be very careful. And so you have this one aspect of these creatures that are incredibly terrifying, but you also have the other aspect, just like on Walking Dead or something, where sometimes humans can be almost more terrifying than the creatures themselves. And some of the humans that we meet in this book are really nice people, and some of them have kind of lost their minds a little bit. Some of them have created a cult and want you to join, or maybe you'll be killed. And I thought that little section in it is not a really, really long section where the cult is involved, but I could see that happening when the world is essentially ending, and it was disturbing. It was disturbing. I liked it. And then the last one is The Handmaid's Tale. I feel like The Handmaid's Tale, which is a dystopian story in which women have no rights whatsoever anymore, and fertile women are used exclusively for their bodies. They are to become pregnant and give their babies over to other couples who might not have been able to have children. It's this really creepy world. To me, I think this is kind of a cult story. It's a cult story in the most creepy way, because it's like these people had these beliefs and they imposed their beliefs on all of society by like taking over the government. And not all of the world has and lives by these beliefs in any way. So Canada doesn't have this, Europe doesn't have this, it's just the States. And it's so close to what could happen. Women's credit cards suddenly just not being able to be used. If women don't have money, what power do they have? It is so disturbing, and I loved it. But yeah, I really think it is a bit of a cult story in the creepiest way, because they rise to power and they like force themselves in through violence to become the all-powerful in this. in this culture. I'm so excited for season 3 to come out for The Handmaid's Tale. Have you guys been watching The Handmaid's Tale on TV? Because I've been loving that. And then, of course, Margaret Atwood is coming out with a sequel for The Handmaid's Tale. Like, how many years? 30-something years in the making. I'm so excited for that. I think that's coming out in September, so that's going down for sure. So, yeah. Those are all of the books that I would recommend to you if you want to pick up a book about cults and want to dive into that very disturbing world. Because I provide disturbing stories for some reason. I'm really attracted to them. Let me know in the comments below if you've read any books about cults that I didn't mention here that you really liked, because I am attracted in some weird way to this genre, subgenre. So I'd love to know. Let me know in the comments below, and I will see you guys soon. Okay, bye guys.